Okay, I think it's time for the webinar to start. So, hello everyone. And content management team. Joining me from the learning and content management team are my colleagues Sri Devi, and we also have few of our colleagues supporting us for the Q&A section from the researcher support team. So, welcome Sandhya and Tim's. Please take a few moments to complete the poll you will see now on your screens. And if you have a question at any time during the content of the session, please use the option to send your questions directly to us. And we'll try to answer as many as possible today during the session, in the Q&A channel. And if we cannot answer all your questions, we'll reply to you directly after the session unless you post the questions anonymously. And so commonly frequently asked questions at the end of the session for all you may wish to set bar on your screen to the right to enlarge the screen that I'm sharing. And you may also wish to enable live transcripts via the bar at the bottom of your screen. And that's also indicated on my screen now. And finally, our session is being recorded today, and you will send the recording is ready. So now let's get into the agenda quickly. So we will start by giving you an overview of the author submission process in Editorial Manager. Please note the steps may vary depending on journal configuration and the type of article being submitted. And we'll also have a look at how to use the declaration tool in Editorial Manager when submitting a manuscript. So of medical.
I can't hear you clearly. Jenny, can you confirm if you're able to hear her clearly?
Yes, it's a bit. No, I couldn't hear you well as well, Anita.
Is it all fine now, Jenny? Shri? I think
Yeah,
we
it's
had
fine now.
some.
Yeah.
My internet was. Sometime it was unstable, but I think yeah, it's all back and fine now.
Yep, it's good now.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. So so this declaration tool will produce a statement in Word form that can be uploaded alongside your manuscript and will appear in your published article. And we'll also provide you a brief explanation on the various editorial statuses your submission may progress through in Editorial Manager. And finally, we'll provide some information on co-authorship verification. So now let's get into the Editorial Manager test site and explore the author submission process. And please note that I'm going to be using our training site for the demonstration purpose with dummy users and dummy submissions. So the training site is a good replica of the live environment, but it will look slightly different to your own profile. So please don't worry if you don't see things today that you normally see when you log in into your profile. And this may be definitely due to the rights and permissions granted for each role that may vary from journal to journal. So now let's get into the Editorial Manager test site. I'm just going to swap my screen now. Shri, I hope the screen is all clear now.
Yes, Anita.
Okay, thank you very much. So before submitting a manuscript, please always make sure to check the journal requirements via the instructions to author links. So you can actually find the instruction to authors link from by clicking on this about option, and you can see the journal overview page, instruction for authors page, and also some other options. So if you could see, this is the new navigation bar, which is definitely different from the previous one. So people who have or logging every day will definitely understand that yeah, there is some difference in the navigation bar, which has been really created for the user's easy reference. And here on the right side, when you click on your name, you can actually see your username, and you can also shuffle between different profiles from this role selector button. And there is also also the site language option available. And from the update my information tab, you can go and update your information anytime. So it might be your affiliation details, your email ID, your phone number, your contact details. So anything can be updated anytime by clicking on this update my information tab. So as I mentioned before, always please check the journal requirements via the instruction to author link before you start. So you can click here and check the instructions to authors. So these instructions will contain guidelines on manuscript word counts, file requirements, and any other important information for your submission. And so it's really important to familiarize yourself with the journal. So now, once you're ready to begin the submission process for your paper, click on Submit New Manuscript. And yeah, you might see this screen where you can see some incomplete submissions which were initiated by you previously and would have been left halfway. So if you have started any submission, you can just click on Select and Continue button. If not, you can click on No Start a New Manuscript. But today, for the purpose of this webinar, I've already created a test manuscript to explore with you all. So I'm just going to click on Select and Continue. So now the first page, we are in the article, select article type page. So please select the relevant article type from the drop-down menu. And if you are submitting for a special issue, please ensure you select the appropriate special issue article type before you proceed with the next step. So the journal may request you to link to your ORCID ID. So in case if it is requesting, please make sure that you link it to your ORCID ID. If not, just proceed with the next button. So now we are here in the attach file step. So please attach all the files you wish to include with your submission in the attach file step. So you may use the browse button to access your computer's file list, or you can click on drag and drop a file from your computer to attach the primary file for the submission. So firstly, upload your primary manuscript, and mandatory file types are indicated here with an asterisk. And if you select research data, when available, you will be asked to enter the URL. So if you could see here, you might be asked to enter the URL where your data is hosted and also provide some additional information such as repository name and title of the data set. In future, it will also become possible to upload data directly into Mendeley data. For some journals, cover letter is mandatory. As you could see here, this is not mandatory here, but yes, for some journals, it might be mandatory. So a cover letter is a simple, brief business letter designed to introduce your manuscript to a prospective editor. So if the guide for authors does not specify what to include in your cover letter, you may wish to include some of the following items, which I'm going to mention now. So specify special considerations that should be given to the paper, if there are any, a brief background regarding the research involved or how the data was collected, and details of any previous or concurrent submissions. And it's also useful to provide the editor-in-chief with any information that will support your submission. For example, original or confirmatory data, relevance, or topicality. So once you're done here, so you can see all the files that I have uploaded here. So always please ensure to update the appropriate file type from here. And you may edit the description of the item, but please ensure not to use any personal identifiers. So I'm just updating this as the OC. So now the system will automatically order your files in the order designated by the journals. And for some journals, the declaration of to interest might be mandatory file type, as you could see from here. So we will explain this in more detail in a few minutes, but in either event, such a statement is mandatory from an ethics perspective. We also have a short video on using the declaration tool in Editorial Manager, and the YouTube link of which is going to be now posted in chat section for your reference. So please bookmark it. And Sridevi is going to now post the YouTube link of this particular video in the chat section. So just to confirm, Shri, I hope my voice is all clear before I proceed.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And once all your files are uploaded, you can just click on proceed button. So we also have a author submission process video created especially for the authors to understand the complete submission process in Editorial Manager. So Shri is now going to post that link also, the YouTube link of this particular video also in the chat section for you. So just a bookmark it for your easy reference. And now we are in the general information tab. So general information tab will have differing requirements depending on your journal. So you may be asked to select the region of origin and section category, and also classifications related to your manuscript or your submission. So classifications are fixed terms created for the journal, and these are completely different from keywords. Rather, keywords are free text that users can add in the manuscript data step here at the end, and which I will show you when we come on to that step. So once you've provided all the required information in this step, click on proceed. And now we are here in the review preferences tab. So depending on journal requirements, again, you will see different options on the review preferences step. So you may have the option to request an editor to handle your paper, to suggest potential reviewers for your paper, or to oppose reviewers who you would prefer not to review for your submission. So you can fill in all these details, but please note these are just preferences. The editor may or may not use your suggestions. And once you've provided all the necessary information, click on proceed button. And now we are here in the additional information step, which presents you with a questionnaire which the journal uses to collect any useful information. So please respond to all these questions as appropriate. And when you've answered all the questions, here you can click on proceed button. Now we are here in the comment section. So here the comment section gives you an opportunity to enter any additional comments for the journal office which you would like to provide. So these comments will not appear directly in your submission. So once you're done providing your comments for the paper, any additional comments, you can click on proceed button. So now the system may automatically pull some data from the manuscript file attached to pre-populate fields on this manuscript data step. And the required fields will be marked with a red asterisk, as you could see here. So you must check and verify or enter data manually. So please enter all the authors of the submission. As you could see, this is a mandatory step. So just click here and click on add author and add all the authors of this paper here. And you have to just click on this button. There is some alert which is showing off. So it says some required information is missing. So I'm just clicking on here. Okay. So now if you see here, the contributor role is missing. That's what I'm just going to fill in. And please enter all the authors of the submission, including the name, correct contact email address, and institution. It is essential to choose your institution from the drop down here. So please do not type completely. Just start typing the initial words of the your institution, and the system will actually show you. Just going to show you that. So just start typing and the system will show you drop downs on your institution name. So please choose from the proper institution name, which you might be eligible for some additional society discounts that can reduce your article publishing charges for gold open access. So click here on the contributor role and you can provide the contributor rules also because these are all mandatory fields and marked with an asterisk. Once you're done, click on the Save button. Okay, great. So next is the funding information here. So just expand this, add all the funding information for your research. So if you do not have any funding information to be added, you can just click on funding information not available. And in every screen of Editorial Manager, you might see some eye icon that's available, which will actually guide you through some important information about what is required of you from this option. So what is required for you to fill in up here in this particular option. And here also, when you could just click here in the author list, yeah, you might see there is an eye icon which says select an institution from the drop down list. I just missed to mention this. So please always make sure that you see all these eye icons to understand what is required of you to fill up here. So once you're done with filling your funding information details, I'm just going to now choose as funding information not available. You can click on Save and Submit Later button to come back and start your submission later, or you can click on Build PDF for approval. So some journals encourage authors to view and select the appropriate open access publishing options at submission. So in case if you see publishing options available, please select the appropriate options and then come back and complete your submission. So now I have clicked on Build PDF for approval. And now here you see all the submissions. I mean, we have automatically rerouted to submissions waiting for approval by author folder. And you can see that the submission I just initiated is available here. And the PDF of your submission is now built. So you can click on View Submission to access the PDF. And okay, the page is refreshing very quickly. Sorry for that. So I'm just clicking on View Submission. So you must view the PDF to confirm that your files and information are all right. So if changes are required, you can always click on Edit Submission to edit your submission. And please ensure you read the Ethics in Publishing and Elsevier's Terms and Conditions and tick the I accept tick box to indicate that you adhere to these guidelines. So these are all mandatory steps. So here the PDF is open for me. So you can just open up the PDF and here you can view it for your reference. So just going back to Editorial Manager. So once you're done now, you can click on finally approve my submission. So yeah, you might be asked to complete your ORCID ID or proceed without the ORCID ID. So I'm just going to click on proceed without ORCID ID. But in case if you'd like to update, you can click on update my information. And the system will now ask you if you're okay to approve this submission. So click on OK, and your submission is now being submitted to the journal for consideration, and you will receive an email confirmation. In case if you'd like to edit your submission file, you will have to contact the support center who will be able to update your submission file. And if you want more information on the submission process, please watch, as I mentioned before, the author submission process video. So the YouTube link of which would have already been posted to the chat section. So if you have not bookmarked it, the link will be again posted now to the chat section. So you can just go and bookmark it. So I'm just going to go to the main menu here and quickly show you on how do you actually contact the support to get your submission updated. So just click here on the question mark. And when you come down here, you can see the resource center and there is a chat option available here. So just click on this chat option and the chat support team is available all 24/7 a day. So if you'd like to update your submission or if you'd like to get some details about your submission, you can always feel free to contact the support center through this question mark and clicking on this chat with Elsevier support. And it's again a 24/7 support, which you can actually use to get any updates on your submission. And here in the author main menu page, you can also see some useful resources that are tagged in for you. So you can find the guide for authors to editorial manager, user guide for authors, and information on open access and what are all the video guides and support articles available for authors. And you can also see some author webinars that's coming up in future. So you can just click on this register now button to register for a particular webinar, or you can also go into this view full webinar schedule webinar page and sign up for any webinar you would like to sign up. Yeah. So that's it with the submission process in Editorial Manager. And now in this part of today's webinar, we're going to now return to the submission process and look at the declaration tool in more detail. So as we mentioned before, for some journals, this is a mandatory file type. Transparent disclosure of potential competing interest is essential to meeting your ethical obligations and nurturing trust in science. So Elsevier now offers a declaration tool in Editorial Manager that quickly and easily helps authors create a comprehensive statement which incorporates the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors ICMJE declaration standards. So this statement can be uploaded as a Word document alongside your manuscript and will appear in your published article. So you can access the declaration tool from the guide for authors by clicking on here, or you can also click on submit a new manuscript, and from the attach file step, you will be able to access the declaration tool. I'm just going to quickly show you that. And when you come here into the attach file step, you will find on the left side the declaration of tool form. So click here and that will take you directly to the declaration tool page. So yes, we are here. So you will be taken to this declaration tool homepage. Here you can read further information about declaring your interest. And when you're ready, you can begin your declaration. Just go down, scroll down to the end. And please note that some journals, the I have nothing to declare button may be present and should obviously only be used to directly generate a statement when you're confident you and your co-authors have nothing to declare. So for other journals, when this button is not available, you can indicate that you have nothing to declare in the page as you will see. So when you're ready to begin, click on Start My Declaration. Okay, so now we are here in the research support for this reported work. So here you can declare any support you or your co-authors received from the certain types of third parties since the initial conception of this research. Note that you don't need to list academic institutions or public funding sources from charitable foundations or government agencies here. You may fill in the details of this support by typing in the organization name and yeah, and selecting any okay, so and selecting any relevant financial or non-financial support. And if you need to add another funding source, you can just come down, click on add another funding source and fill in the details. So you will also need to add who received your support. Just go up a little and you will have to fill in who received your support. And if your research did not receive any additional support that should be declared, you may use this toggle button off. So you're done now. So save declaration for later. If you'd like to save the declaration later, come back to it within the next 30 days. So this option will allow you to come back and complete the submission in the next 30 days. So you can fill all the details here. So you can fill all the details here. Once you've either fill this or press the toggle button off, you can just proceed with the next step. Shri, I hope you're able to hear me fine. I just received a message stating my internet is unstable.
Yeah, it was for a minute and we can hear you back, Anita.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I hope, yeah, this section was clear. So you can fill in all the details, or you can just press the toggle button off. And now I'm just clicking on the intellectual property button to proceed. Okay, so here in the patents and intellectual property page, this allows you to disclose any relevant patents or copyrights licensed to your any of your co-authors. So you can fill all this information here, or you can press the toggle button off to indicate you have nothing to declare. So just come down and click on the next other activities, which is the final page of the declaration tool. So where you can submit any further information that a reader could perceive to have influenced the work that has not been covered in the previous pages. So once you fill this or toggled off to indicate you have nothing to declare, so you may proceed to click on review declaration button. So this screen will summarize all the information you have provided so far. So you can just have a look at here, and you may click the back button if there is anything you want to edit, or click submit and download if you're happy with the content. So now you will be offered the option to enter your email address to save your declaration statement, and you will receive the same prompt if you wish to save your progress at any time while using this tool. And if you do this, you'll be prompted to enter the one-time password, and you can then download your declaration. You can also go back to this tool and download the declaration again for the next 30 days if you use this option. Or alternatively, you can click on no thanks, I want to download a declaration without saving it. So the declaration tool has now, okay, just a second. It's trying to, okay. So my system is a little slow today. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience caused here. So the declaration tool has now created a document using the information you entered, which can now be uploaded to Editorial Manager as a Word document. So now let's go back to the Editorial Manager and see where we can upload. So we are now in the attached files tab. So just click on the browse button and browse the declaration statement, which you just downloaded here, and it's getting uploaded here. And now you can go and choose the appropriate item type. So this is the declaration statement. So please select from here and change the description, whatever you would like to provide here. And then you may continue with your submission as usual. Editorial Manager, and Sridevi is now going to post the YouTube link of this particular video in the chat section. So please bookmark to for your reference, and this might be definitely helpful for you in future. So now in the last part of this webinar, we'll give you a brief explanation of the various editorial statuses your submission may progress through in Editorial Manager. So I'm just going to go back to the presentation. Shri, I hope the screen is all clear now, Shri.
All good, Anita.
Thank you very much. Having some internet issues. I'm so sorry. The climate is actually worse here, and it's raining heavily. So there is some interim internet issues. I apologize for that. So now we're going to look at how do you track your submission in Editorial Manager. So an author finishes writing his paper and submits it to the journal. The system shows the status of the manuscript as manuscript submitted. Now, based on the workflow of the journal, the editorial office or the editor performs a technical check on your manuscript. So they will check the manuscript word count, format, and figure quality, etc. So the next step is assigning it to either an editor-in-chief or an associate editor for further handling. Journals usually have multiple associate editors who are experts in a particular niche within the broader subject area. So your manuscript will be handled by the editor who has the highest level of understanding and experience with your paper's research topic. The status remains with editor until the editor either makes a decision or invites reviewers. So the handling editor has different action choices. Make a desk rejection, send the paper for revision, or invite reviewers. So the editor conducts an initial screening of your paper and assess it against several criteria such as novelty, priority, and scope. And if your paper is a better match for another journal, you may be offered a manuscript transfer also. It is also possible that your paper does not meet some of the assessment criteria, and then the editor will reject it before going into peer review. If the editor decides that your paper is a good match for the journal, they will identify 2 or 3 independent reviewers based on the journal configuration and then send them an invitation to review your manuscript. So when the editor invites reviewers, the status of the manuscript changes to under review. Once the required number of reviews are received and recommendations were submitted, the manuscript status shows as required reviews completed. The handling editor carefully studies the review reports. It can happen that the referee reports are conflicting, in which case the editor needs to find additional reviewers. When this happens, your submission will return to under review status once again. And when the editor has received enough of high quality feedback from the reviewers, they will begin the decision making process and move the status to decision in process. So the decision may need to be confirmed by multiple editors in some journals. So the manuscript will then move to the editor-in-chief's account. So the editor-in-chief submits his or her decision. So as you could see here, there are different decision terms available, and we have listed few of the important decision terms here. So the first one is revise. So the editor is requested that you revise the submission. You will find the details of changes required and the deadline for your revision in the decision letter. The next one is complete, accept, or reject. So the submission process is completed with either an accept or reject decision. In case of an accept decision, the manuscript will begin its production process and you will receive further information. The next one is transfer pending. So the editor has rejected your paper and suggested to transfer it to another journal. So the editor has recommended the submission be transferred to another journal via our automatic article transfer service. And you're now offered a transfer. We will await your response before proceeding further. The last but not the least, you have the option of submission transferred. So you accepted the transfer and the submission is now transferred to another journal for consideration. So we've also published a video on submission status explainer, which will explain you how your submission progress after submitting the manuscript. And the YouTube link of the video will now be posted in the chat section. So please bookmark it. So that's it about the how you track your submission. And one of the important other tracking tool we have here is like the submission tracker. So we've now introduced a submission tracker tool for more than 2000 plus Elsevier journals. So once a journal is using the submission tracker, an email is sent to the corresponding author when the first reviewer is invited. As you can see from the screenshot, the email contains a link to the submission tracker landing page where author can view the status of the review process of their submission. And this link will remain active throughout the end-to-end peer review process. And the corresponding author can also share this link once you've received with the other co-authors of the paper. And the link will remain the same and it's not going to change. So you can proceed to share it with all the other co-authors of the paper. And we expect to have the submission tracker tool available for all Elsevier journals in the near future. So the submission tracker landing page, as you could see, looks as shown here. From here, you can completely monitor the status of your manuscript. So the next thing I wanted to highlight here is about handling fake acceptance letter. So at Elsevier, we want to help all our authors to stay safe when publishing. So we are aware that there are a number of scams in operation which seek to fraudulently obtain money from authors. Typically, these schemes take the form of emails purporting to be from a journal's editorial office, asking the authors to pay a fee. Often, this request is made at the same time as announcing that the paper has been accepted for publication, even though in reality it is still in the editorial review workflow. So, there are some tips on how you can avoid being scammed and stay safe when publishing, and that is now here listed in the screen for your reference. I'll just give a minute for you to just go through this, and I'm also going to highlight few of the important points here. So, all legitimate emails from Elsevier requesting payment will only come from at elsevier.com email address. So therefore, please delete anything that claims to come from Elsevier but does not come from such an email address. And the other important point is request for payment, especially if you have not chosen to publish in a gold open access journal. You should be wary of any communication requesting that you transfer money to enable publication. And in the case of gold OA journals, open access journals, Elsevier will only ask for payment after your paper has been accepted for publication. So these are few of the important points should be noted while you actually submit your paper and wait for the communication from Elsevier. So I hope you were able to go through all these points now. So the next we're going to see is about co-authorship verification. How do I verify my contribution as a co-author? So when submitting, authors are asked to list all the co-authors of the submission. Editorial Manager Journal request co-authors confirm their co-authorship, as this helps to ensure that authorship includes all individuals who have made a significant contribution to the conception, design, execution, and interpretation of the manuscript. So how do I verify my contribution as a co-author? So request to verify may be for a new submission or a revised submission. Just be careful about that. And the journal will also send co-authors an email notification. I'm so sorry. So email notification, which will include deep links to verify co-authorship. Some journals will ask you that you also register or log in to confirm your authorship, which will also allow you to view the status of the submission. So as you could see here, this is how it's going to be, the email, and you will receive the link. And some journals will ask that you also register or log in to confirm your authorship, which will also allow you to view the status of the submission on your author main menu from the folder submission being processed, as you could see from here. So depending on the journal configuration. So you may also receive up to 2 reminders to verify your co-authorship. We've also created a short video on co-authorship verification. It's an frequently asked question video, and it's hosted on YouTube, and the link of it will now be posted to the chat section for all your reference, and Shri is going to be now posting it. Please bookmark it for your reference. And the next thing I wanted to really touch base on is about, did you know we have an author guide to Editorial Manager? So in this guide, you will find the learning pathway that include links to instructional videos and articles. And this cohesive and enlightening learning pathway will guide you through the primary author key tasks such as manuscript submission process, tracking manuscript status, and so on. So as you could see here, you can see different stages: pre-submission. So what are all the things that's required for an author during the pre-submission stage, and what is required during the submission stage, and how do you monitor your manuscript? So what is it going to happen? So you can see the review and decision information. You can also find some information on revision and some of our additional resources. So I'm just going to quickly share the author guide with you all. So this is how it looks. You were just seeing a screenshot and this is the real page. So as you could see here, all information is available here. Clicking on this additional resources will take you to the webinar series page and also the author services page, where you can find some interesting information on language editing and other important services which Elsevier provides for authors. So please bookmark this link. The link of this author guide is now going to be posted in the chat section. Please bookmark it and refer it whenever you have any questions. This is a complete guide for an author when publishing in Editorial Manager. So now I'm just going to go back to my presentation. Okay, I hope the screen is all clear now, Shri.
Yes, Anita, I can see the author guide to Editorial Manager.
Thank you very much. So yes, thank you for listening to the content of today's session. We hope you found it useful. We are now going to spend a few moments looking at some of the frequently asked questions in today's session. And for that, I will hand it over to my co-host Sri Devi. So we are also trying to answer as many as questions possible today during the session in the Q&A channel. If we cannot answer all the questions, we will reply to you directly after the session, unless you post the questions anonymously. I'm also going to launch another poll now. So please take a few moments to actually complete the short poll that will appear on your screen before you could leave, and your answers will really help us in delivering more webinars like this one. So I'm just going to launch the poll and then hand it over to Sridevi. Okay, I've launched the poll now. And please take some time to complete it. And over to you, Sri, to just list few of the frequently raised questions today in the session.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you for the wonderful session. And yeah, so I don't see any frequently asked questions here, but I would like to share a couple of them, which I think would be good. So the first question, the question was on, we had some journal specific questions, so which was on acceptance rate of the targeted journal. So for any journal specific questions, we would request you to go to the journal homepage and kind of view those information there. And there has been some questions on how to view the LaTeX template. So we had answered them in the chat, but I would also share with you a video that we have created for LaTeX that will be shared in the chat in a minute. I guess that's it. We had, Anita, a few of them were very specific questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sri. And also I see some questions coming on about, can you hold another webinar about the revision process, please? Yes, that's coming up shortly next week. And the webinar link, the author webinar link, where you can actually go and sign up, or will be now posted in the chat section. Shri, you can just copy the author webinar link and just send it in the chat. And that is also going to be shared with you after the session is over. So we'll be sharing the recording together with that. I'll be sharing the webinar registration links for the revision process. So please do sign up for that. And it's really going to be interesting topic where you can learn a lot of information about revision process in Editorial Manager. So thank you very much, Sri, for listing those top questions today. And I hope you're all able to see the poll in your screen. So that brings us to the end of our webinar today. So thank you very much for listening to the content of today's session. So after this session, we will send you, as informed before, I'll be sending in some helpful links to the webinar recording and some short video guides that relate directly to the topic today. So please look out for that email. And again, a gentle reminder to please take a few moments to complete the short poll that you see on your screen before you could leave, and your answers will definitely help us have more of good webinars like this one. So thank you very much for joining us, and see you next time. We'll keep the session open to answer any unanswered questions in the Q&A tab, and I'll keep the session open. So please proceed to ask any of your questions. We'll have the session open for another 5 minutes. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
you.